Let me ask you guys this as an opening question. How long do you think you could how long do you think you could be on the run from the police? How many minutes, hours, days you think you could make it? On by yourself, no help, just you. Um I think if you are I think honestly if you believe more if you believe more than a day, you're pretty conceited. I would say that you are conceited. There was a there was a there was a 16-year-old kid who jumped off of a plane in Oklahoma City as he tried to avoid arrest by police. Now, he was not he was not in the air when this happened. He was not in the air, and he didn't, jump out while they were, 30,000 feet above the ground. That's not what happened. They were on the tarmac, and then he just let me read the article so you can understand. All right. Police at Will Rogers Airport in Oklahoma caught up with a teen wanted on a felony warrant Monday afternoon. They just had to chase him across the runway to do so. According to the airport, when United Flight 5706 landed in OKC at about 1:45 local time, a 16-year-old passenger on the flight from Houston ended up jumping off the plane to avoid arrest. He has a felony warrant out of Cleveland County, Oklahoma, and was going to be picked up from the airport by deputies, Will Rogers Airport said in a statement. Apparently, he knew he was going to be picked up, and when getting off the plane, he jumped from the plane down to the tarmac, and a foot chase by airline, airport, and law enforcement took place. So it wasn't some dramatic, parachute out, none of that Jason Bourne, Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt stuff. None of that happened. But seriously, like how long do you think you would make it? Like if you I think John Wilkes Booth, don't quote me on this, I think he lasted when he shot and killed Lincoln. I want to say he lasted like 5 or 7 days. It wasn't very long. If I remember correctly, I could be totally wrong, but I don't remember it being very long. But I remember I was talking. I had a friend in third grade. He was full of himself, and he was, that's just kind of who he was, and he was a fun guy to be around. But he just, in a way, he just thought he was kind of better than other people. I think. I don't know. I mean, he was cool. But anyway, we were having a conversation one day, and I asked him. I said, "Listen, if you because somehow we got into the subject of crime and like running from the police, and he said, there's no way police would catch me if I committed a crime." And I thought I misheard him. I said, "Wait, what?" And he said, "Yeah, there's no way." He's like, "My plan would be too foolproof." And so I said, "Okay." I just thought, okay, this is kind of how he thinks. I mean, just let's let him talk it out. And so I said, "Okay, give me your plan if you were robbing a bank." And he said, "Oh, okay." And then he thought for maybe 30 seconds, 30 seconds to a minute. And it was pretty interesting. And he said, okay, here it is. And I said, "All right, go." And he said, "Okay, so the night before, The night before, before the night of the heist, I would follow one of the last employees to leave. I'd follow them home. And then I would like, hold a gun against him and then say that, you're gonna rob the bank for me. And if you don't, then something bad's gonna happen to your family. And he said that he would have the person who works at the bank steal the money, bring it back to his family's home, and then my friend said I would take the money from there and then I would leave. And he said that's foolproof. He's like, it's perfect. And I said, okay. I said, okay. I was like, that's an interesting approach. I didn't think he would go there. And I was like, okay, on the surface, it seems pretty good. But you're hoping that everything goes right. And you're hoping that he is first of all, you're hoping he has clearance into the vault. Because just because you work at the bank doesn't mean you have clearance to the vault. And he didn't say anything about that. And I said, okay, you're hoping that the police don't follow him. Because they wouldn't be hard to track at all. And I said, what if he tells his other employees that, there's a guy who's making me do this and he's holding my family hostage in my home. And, he's the one you want. He's the one that's making me do this. And he's at my home. I was like, then what? And he said, well, I guess those are good points. But those would never happen. And I just shook my head and then, we just went on to talking about something else. But, running from the police, you're not going to make it. Like statistically, the odds are not in your favor. I want to say, I can't remember the percentage, but I think of the vast majority of crimes that are committed, they take 48 hours, like 48 to 72 hours to solve, where the crime happens, they investigate, and then they're able to get the person. It's the vast majority of cases. And do you guys remember Christopher Dorner? The police who pretty much got canned, and then he killed 2 more policemen I think he was going to testify in court, and then something bad happened. He got fired, and then I think he killed 2 policemen, and then all law enforcement in the nation was looking for this guy. It was like a serious manhunt. It was. I kind of want to compare it to, John Wilkes Booth, but it just wasn't something of that magnitude because he hadn't killed the president. Maybe think of it like the Unabomber, where everyone's looking for this guy. Obviously the Unabomber lasted, decades. But pretty much, my point is, there are just so many things working against you. Because first of all, you're one individual. And you are working against thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who are working against you to find you. Because here's the thing. Let's say you outwit local police. Okay, then they pretty much increased the radius of they increased the searching area, so that would include other counties and other cities. Then the state would get involved, and if somehow you escape the state, then the feds are involved, and there's just so many different levels. You're not going to get it. And so my other question to you is, what crime would you have to commit to where you feel like running from the police is worth it? Because here's the thing, when you run from the police, you make things worse. And it doesn't help you. Because it's taxpayer money, resources, man hours. It's just a lot. It's an unbelievable amount of work to do. But, you know, I just don't, I don't know. I mean, I don't have to say don't run from the police or don't commit crimes. I don't have to say that, but I just found this story interesting. Like, dude, you're 16 and you made national headline news, because this is on abcnews.go, and they pretty much cover stuff from around the world. And I mean, his story was one of the smallest stories on the front page of their webpage. It was pretty big. So I mean, it's pretty big, and it's like dude, you're on the front of, you're pretty much front page news for a very bad reason. Anyway, don't run from the police. It's not that smart. Okay, so we have a strange story where this West Virginia father married one of his daughters after murdering her boyfriend. Yep. Yep. I don't even know if I need to get into this article. I mean, it's amazing. There are 7 billion people in this world. 7 billion. Going on 8 billion. Of all the people that you could be married to, of all the people that you could be with, why would you choose your daughter? I mean, because outside of being illegal, it's just like that's your kid. I look at myself, I don't have kids. I don't. But when I become a dad, and if I do have daughters, I'm praying to God that I have multiple daughters. Oh my God, I'm gonna spoil those girls so much. But I can't ever envision myself of them becoming over the age of 18 and they're dating someone and I kill their boyfriend and then I marry them. I don't even know how you develop that mindset. Here's the article. A West Virginia man admitted to authorities that he married one of his daughters after helping both of them kill another man and dump him in a shallow grave. Larry Paul McClure, 55, said in a letter to state investigators that he and his daughters, 31-year-old Amanda Michelle Naylor McClure. Naylor? Amanda Michelle Naylor McClure? Wow. And 32-year-old Anna Marie Chowdhury plotted the murder of John McGuire, who was dating Amanda. West Virginia State Police officer testified in a recent court hearing that the trio hit McGuire in the head with a bottle of wine, tied him up, and injected him with 2 vials of meth. What? This is my first time reading this story. Like, this is a live... Who thinks of this? Hit him on the head with a bottle of wine, tie him up, inject him with 2 vials of meth. They then strangled him and buried him in a shallow grave on the property of a home where they were staying at the certain part of the state. Sky Gusty? I don't think that's how it's pronounced. Maybe Ski Gusty, I don't know. In his admission letter, McClure wrote the murder was his daughter Amanda's idea. I cannot tell you why Amanda wanted John McGuire dead. I'm asking for this to be over and not wasting the taxpayers' money and hurting the family members on both sides of this. John McGuire's family and my family. Police allege Amanda and her father then traveled to Virginia and married each other at the United Methodist Church Ministry of the Gospel. And that's all she wrote. You know, I love doing this podcast, man. I just come across so many stories. They just blow my mind. when you see people, you don't know what they're going through in their life. You don't know what they're thinking at that moment. You don't know what they're planning. You don't know what their goals are. You don't know what their dreams are. You don't know what their fantasies are. Oh my goodness. Like, it's like this guy he looks somewhat like a meth head. Like maybe just in the early stages of becoming a meth head. That's what I would say. But it's like, if you saw this guy, it'd be like, oh, like, this is a guy where if you were walking down the street, you'd be like, you know, if you were walking with your girlfriend, if you were walking with your girlfriend or your wife, and they were on the side that this guy was on, you'd switch him to the other side if you saw this guy. I mean, you may even cross the street if you looked at this guy. But what I'm saying is, what in the world? Like, what? Hit him in the head with a bottle of wine, tie him up, inject him with 2 vials of meth. Like, who? Like, first of all, why do you need to? I think I'm going to stop for a second. What do you need the meth for? Here's the thing. After you hit him in the head with a bottle of wine, so you knock him out, or hopefully you knock him out, because you got to do it just right, or do it repeatedly, you can tie him up. He's now restrained. He can't move. He can't go anywhere. You could have strangled him right there. What? I don't see like, what would the meth do? The meth, to me, seems like it would make it harder to strangle him. I don't... What? Like, I don't know who would think of this. I don't know who would think of this. If I was planning to kill someone, I just wouldn't, using meth wouldn't cross my mind. I mean, clearly they had access to meth. I don't know. But this is just one of the strangest things I've ever heard. That's really it for this story. I mean, seriously, maybe there's something about meth that I don't know, where it's like meth makes you more compliant, which pretty sure it doesn't do that. And, just relaxes the body, which I'm also pretty sure it doesn't. I mean, if you can make sense of this method of murder, please, tell me. And if it makes sense, I'll be like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. But the way I see it now, I don't know. I just don't know what the meth would be for. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so let's jump out of West Virginia and in to Florida. Now, this story here is about human trafficking. So I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to transition into prostitution. Okay. So I want you to stay with me here. I am not condoning human trafficking. It is wrong. It is evil. Okay, but I'm going to transition into prostitution. Stay with me. Okay, here we go. Police in Florida have arrested over 100 people in an undercover human trafficking operation. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office ran Operation Trade Secrets 2 over a 5-month period and made 104 arrests, according to a press conference. Of these individuals, 76 were men purchasing sex, and 28 were women working in the sex trade. Between January and June of this year, the department ran the first operation of Operation Trade Secrets, also aimed at cracking down on human trafficking. Sheriff Chad Chronister drew attention to what he described as two of the more despicable cases the force encountered. On June 21st, police arrested Jason Fitzgerald, 36, and Luis Colon, maybe Colon, that's a sad last name if that's how it's pronounced, 29, after they tried to buy sex with a 13-year-old girl from an undercover officer. A deputy posed as the stepfather of a 14-year-old girl trying to sell her for sex at a trailer park in North Tampa. The men arranged a time to meet up with the child to perform acts that are so repulsive that I won't even begin to describe them, Chronister said. The suspects negotiated a price to have sex with the girl, he said. When they were told they could have their pickup with the 14-year-old or 13-year-old girl who was inside the trailer, they quickly jumped at the scene at the chance to be with the even younger child. I'm ad-libbing here. So there was a chance for, they said, okay, you can either have we got a 14 or there's a 13. These people wanted the 13. Yes. Predators, this back in the article, predators like this don't belong on the streets in Hillsborough County, said Chronister. In July, undercover deputies arrested Stephen Cook, 29, at a hotel where he had taken two women for a sex exchange that he organized. According to police, Chronister described Cook as a pimp and a gang member. Cook forced one of the women to have sex with the men despite her complaints of pain caused by a medical condition. Chronister said the stings saw woman detectives posing as sex workers and men as buyers, the sheriff said. Staff also pored over websites and forums known for soliciting sex, as well as targeting strip clubs, massage parlors, and motels. Chronister acknowledged that the Tampa Bay area has a reputation as a strip club capital of the world. In the run-up to major upcoming events such as the Super Bowl, WrestleMania, and the Final Four, Chronister said the force wants to make it clear that human trafficking will not be tolerated in Hillsborough County. Purchasing another human being for sex is wrong, is never consensual, and is a surefire way to land yourself in jail in this county. It's amazing. And again, I'm not condoning sex trafficking. I'm not doing that at all. I'm looking at some of these pictures of these people and some of these women. It's amazing. Ladies, here's what you need to know about guys. Now listen, guys aren't evil. We're not. But when it comes to being able to get sex, we lower our standards to be able to have sex. We do. It's like a one-night stand. So women are more likely to look at and say, okay, if I'm going to have a one-night stand, they're less likely to want one than men are, but they are more picky on one-night stands. So they're going to go for the good-looking guy. They're not just going to go for that average Joe, unless they're just extraordinarily drunk. But guys, it's like, if I can get a one-night stand, it's like, hell, I don't care if she's a 6. I'm looking at some of these people. I'm looking at some of these women. Dear Lord, they look bad. Just bad. Just rough with a capital R. And replace spell it R-U-F-F, not R-U-O-G-H. R-O-U-G-H. These women look bad. And these other guys, they just look like bums. The operation focused on buyers, Chronister said. This is back in the article. Counselors were sent to jail to talk to the 28 women to see if they could be brave and bold enough to break the cycle which has led them to selling sex. He pointed out many women depend on traffickers to feed addictions and for clothes, food, and money. During the first phase of the operation earlier this year, the department arrested 85 individuals. Now, that's it for the article. Now, here we go. Now we're gonna transition here. Okay, so I don't know if I've really talked about prostitution that much. But, let me ask you guys this. Should prostitution be legalized? I just want you to think about that for a moment, okay? So I look at it this way. Now, let me say this. Compartmentalize, okay? I believe that prostitution is wrong. Okay, I do believe that. Because I don't want Christians to come out after me and just say, oh my God, you can't possibly be a Christian if you believe that, prostitution is okay. I don't think it's okay. I believe it's morally wrong. That's not what sex is supposed to be for. You're not supposed to sell it, okay? That's my moral standpoint. Okay? Now that I've said that, that's been established. Okay. I look at this and I say, okay, well, can they... It's like, I personally believe it's an interesting question. And I thought about this many times and I've had many conversations. And I believe that it should be legalized. Okay, stay with me here. This is from careerride.com. Okay, I'm going to go through, there's reasons for yes and no. I'm going to go through all of them, okay? Number 1, and to me this is the biggest one. It is a profession and it is voluntary. No one forces anyone to engage in it. The clients as well as the service providers, as long as both are consenting adults, can decide for themselves. That's my number one pitch for legalizing it. Here's the thing. There are many skills: programming, coding, drawing, painting, writing. These are all skills. Sex is a skill. It is a skill. You can provide it as a service. Right now it's just illegal. Okay? Do I think, I've said it's wrong. I believe it's wrong. But it's like if these are adults who choose to do this, okay, no one forced them. They want to do this on their own. They want to do this. I say let them. They are putting themselves at risk, and the person who is exchanging the money for sex is putting themselves at risk. All right, number 2, legalizing this would serve legitimate needs. Many go to such services to find comfort and companionship. Restricting sex to marriage has not been very successful. Many need such services as they are not satisfied in their married life. Number 3, prohibiting prostitution does not, and here's the thing, all of these reasons I don't agree with. I'm just reading these, okay? If I do agree with them, I will tell you. Okay. Prohibiting prostitution does not stop such services, but rather pushes these activities underground. So it's better to legalize such activities as long as it's voluntary on the part of the customer and the service provider. I agree with that one. 4, it is difficult to regulate prostitution due to its underground nature. Legalizing it would give opportunity to the government to regulate it, to regulate it. Many say it is social stigma and immoral, which I do. But here's the thing. And I'm going to say this. I have a certain moral code. I live according to the Bible, and it's like, okay, what the Bible says is what I live by. And the way I interpret it is the way I live, okay? But here's the thing. Everyone doesn't believe in the Bible. Everyone doesn't read it. Everyone doesn't follow it. It's like if you take another religious book, I don't live according to the Quran. I don't pray to Allah. There are some who do, some who don't. Okay, so I can't force, and here's the thing. Here's my thing. Here's the number one thing that I believe is important when it comes to God. The most important gift that God ever gave us was life. That was number 1. Number 2 was the opportunity for salvation. Number 3 was free will. The ability to choose what you want to do with your life is an unbelievable gift. And so that right there, it's like there are many things that I don't like. There are many things that I disagree with fundamentally, but it's like if you want to do that, if you want to live a certain lifestyle, if you want to practice a certain thing, go right ahead. I don't think you should. I think it's wrong. I think it's immoral. But God gave you the ability to choose that. You can choose what you would like to do. You just need to accept the consequences of your actions, positive and negative. Yet, and this back in careerride.com, yet it has continued since ancient times, which is true. Prostitution is very old. It is extraordinarily old. And it's been frowned on for a lot of reasons. Here's the thing. Women don't, men have sex for the sake of having sex. We have sex because we like it. We enjoy it. We enjoy the feeling of it. Women have sex for, I would say, for the bond. It's the bonding activity. Guys, we do it for the pleasure. Women, they do it for, the closeness and the intimacy and, that area. Okay. So it's two different reasons. So men, we are more likely to buy sex because we just want to get our rocks off. It feels good. Women don't, they're just, you're just highly unlikely to meet a woman who's willing to pay for sex. Ladies, here's what you need to know about men. There's many things that guys are willing to do for sex. There was a Family Feud question. And the question was, fill in the blank, and they asked 100 married men. And it was, fill in the blank, I would blank for sex. Every single guy, if you were watching it and if they were playing, knew the answer. They knew the 5 answers. Pay, beg, lie, die, and kill for sex. That's just how strong sex is to us. Like we would give almost anything for it. Anyway, number 5, the income earned in this profession is termed illegal, thus leading to creation of black money. Legalizing can help bringing in financial regulation also. Legal prostitution can increase tax collection and help increase revenues of the government. That's a good point. 6, it will also make sure that sex workers keep themselves healthy. Now, here's what I say. Here's the thing. If you're willing to have sex with someone, that's a risk you're taking. It's like, okay, well, you're hoping that they tell you the truth. First, you might want to make sure that they actually are telling the truth and stuff like that. But it's like, that's a risk that person is willing to take. 7, we invest a lot of resources in prohibiting prostitution. On legalizing, we can use those precious resources to fight human trafficking, child trafficking, distribution of drugs. Number 8, many countries in the world have a legal and regulated prostitution and still feature high on the Human Development Index. That one I'd have to look more into. Okay, here are the no arguments. Prostitution leads to objectification of women. This affects status of women in general in society. Here's the thing. I can see why they would think that. I can see why someone would think that. But here's the thing. If these people are voluntarily doing this, they're not slaves, they're not sold into doing this. When they do it voluntarily, it's like that's just what they chose to do. It's like this. Those women I would say would be objectified. But other women in general who just work normal regular jobs, clerks, CEOs, bakers, teachers, professors, engineers, other jobs, I don't believe they would be objectified. I can kind of see the argument, but I don't think it would really affect the status of women in society. That's just me. 2, selling one's body for money is unethical and immoral. I don't really believe that's an argument because you can't push your morality on someone else. You can, and here's the thing, as Christians, what we're supposed to do, we are supposed to, preach the gospel and go out into the world and, talk, share the good news with those who we come across. Obviously, we don't do that with everybody, but it's like, our goal is to lead people to Christ. And we're not saying that these people are horrible. We're just saying, okay, there's a better way to live, come this way. But we don't make them and say, oh my gosh, you're going to hell and all of that stuff. Doing that approach doesn't work. It doesn't. Okay. So the whole unethical and immoral argument, I agree with. I do believe it's unethical. I do believe it's immoral, but I just don't think that's an argument that you can really use. Sex with multiple partners increases risk of disease, which is true. In case of prostitution, there are chances of bodily harm too, as some clients might be violent. Thus, it is not healthy. That is a risk that the prostitute is willing to take. If this is here's the thing, whatever job you do, there are certain risks. There are people, who work on oil rigs. They make actually very good money. The dangerous part of it, it could explode and you're out here in the ocean and you could drown or burn or explode or, that's with any job. It comes with the territory. Whatever you choose to do, you take the pros and cons of it. Okay, so yes, some clients might be violent. Yes, that's a risk that the prostitute is willing to take. 4, prostitution is also seen as an easy way to make money, but it has its own risks, and sometimes these risks can lead to even death. Is it an easy way to make money? Yeah, it is. Because here's the thing. Personally, I wouldn't pay to have sex with a random stranger. Just me personally. Okay? And it's like this. Yes, it's an easy way to make money, but remember, it's a skill. There are some, just from the visual aspect, they wouldn't charge a lot of money just because they're just not as good looking. So if you take someone who's a 6 and someone who's a 10, the 10 can easily charge more just off of her looks, where the 6 would, I don't think the easy way to make money, I don't think that's really a strong argument in itself. I don't think it holds up, because yes, it is. 5. I mean, the idea of it being an easy way to make money, define easy. That just doesn't seem right. 5. Many times, services of a prostitute are engaged by married men. Thus, prostitution can lead to destroying one's family life. Listen, that's been around for a long time. And it's like this. Here's the thing. Cheating on your spouse it's not a crime. It's wrong, but it's not a crime. And it's like this. Okay, take away prostitutes. People still have affairs. They have affairs with neighbors, co-workers, friends. That argument just doesn't hold up. It's like, oh, okay, take away prostitutes. It's gonna fix the problem or lessen the problem. No, people just find other places to have sex, people to have sex with. 6, prostitution can never be a legitimate business. Just by legalizing it, we cannot eliminate crime. Black money will keep getting created as black money is created when one doesn't want to pay taxes for the money earned. So legalizing will not solve problems of financial discrepancies. It would take me a long time to get into that one, so I won't comment on that one, but that's an interesting point. Number 7, legalizing will simply increase the temptation of human trafficking and drug abuse. At least by banning prostitution, there is some deterrent for such crimes. Legalizing will simply increase the temptation of human trafficking and drug abuse. I can look at it from two ways, and I can't, man, this is just, I gotta just spend an episode. You know what I may do? My friend Brandon that I told you guys about, I may just talk about this with him. Make this one of our topics. Cause, well, let me do 8 and then I'll finish. Some actions are just wrong and immoral, and we should not try to make them legal just because people do it and have been doing it. Many people exceed the speed limit on roads, but we do not cancel the limits. We still enforce them. This is for the safety of the driver and others in the society. Okay, that's somewhat of a good reason, but not really, because when you're driving, you put many people at risk. Like many individuals at risk. When you legalize prostitution, it's like, okay, a lot less people will be affected. It's just it's pretty much just the prostitute and the person buying the sex. But anyway, I know some guys, well, we talked about it, even some girls, and I kind of always want to have this conversation with like a panel of women. I think that'd be kind of cool. But would they, I know some people who are proponents of legalizing it. There are some who are against legalizing it. And they all kind of have these interesting takes. When it comes to women that I've had this conversation with, for the most part, they say that, this is just what I've come across. They say that if a woman wants to do that, go right ahead. I've had many who say, oh no, it's wrong, it shouldn't be legalized. But I have come across multiple women who have said, if they want to do it, like, let them go ahead. Like, that's, they're cheapening themselves. They're making themselves less quality. And, I think it's an interesting topic. Do I think it'll ever be legalized? No, I don't believe so. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think it would affect our society. I think America would kind of be frowned upon. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's a very interesting thought. I think it's a very interesting debate. I really think you can make cases for both sides. Is it wrong morally and ethically? Absolutely. Like, I would not debate you on that. But I look at it this way. God gave us free will. And even if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But we do understand that we have free will. And we can pretty much do whatever we want, and we just have to accept the consequences of our actions. And, you deal with that. So, just think about it. Not necessarily legalizing it, but just, well, let me say this. Ask yourself this. Should it be legalized or not? And then why? That's one question. And then, if it were legalized, how different would society be?